1800s, immigrants came over in ever-increasing numbers to experience America and the promise that it brought them. Industrial jobs were growing, and workers encountered an inability to change their situation in any way. Immigrant children were expected to go to work as early as they possibly could to support their families. Any attempt to get an education led to a rejection of them from their families and homes because they were unwilling to support the family as they should. Perhaps the best example of what this repressive environment could breed was Leon Chogus, anarchist and assassin.
Good people, the good working people. I'm not sorry for my crime. I am only sorry I could not get to see my father. I was born a little man. My parents were immigrants from Poland. They came over looking for the American dream. They heard of all the wonderful things that America gives to the good people. Their friends went here and wrote long letters back to the homeland. My father and mother wanted the best life they could have. They wanted to leave the oppression and the wrongness of their old lives. My mother was a good woman.
What's your name? Clearly chill, Josh.
I'm sorry you had to go through this. The big people are stupid. They're just trying to show the other big people that they're stronger than us little good people. And it's not fair. Here, let me get you some milk. The milk is good. It's healthy. It's not like the fancy and expensive tea of the rich people, but it's the drink of the little people, of the good people. Instead of giving you a headache or polluting your brain, the milk is good. It's not like tea, little people, we good people. We are like the milk. Remember this, you must be as the milk. The milk supports the good people, and you must do the same as well.
The kids were never kind to me, but even as I grew away from them, my mother was there to fill the gap their cruelty left. As long as she was there was comfort and happiness. She would give me a glass of milk and remind me of what she told me that first day. You must always be there for the good people.
crying again.
And you don't care that your mother's dead. Your mother's dead. And you don't care that your mother's dead.
The good people.
Hey son, having fun with your friends again? Pull up a chair, I'd like you to meet somebody. This is Miss Victoria, and we are to be married as soon as possible. Say hello. Hello?
Why don't you go wash up before tea? You're absolutely filthy. Come to tea. What are you searching for so desperately?
Where's the milk?
That poor people's rubbish. That has no place in this house. I had the maid throw it away. Don't you know that's unhealthy?
My stepmother convinced my father to send me to the factories to work. He wanted more children, and she told him that she could never even dream of creating a new life when she lived in such poverty. He agreed, but she was the one to tell me.
You wanted to see me?
So, you are aware that your father and I would like to have more children, yes?
Yes, it's been a dream of his for a long time.
But you know that I would never dream of raising a child in such conditions.
That is understandable.
So it has been decided. You will go to the factory to work and your father and I will have more babies.
What?
Look at me. You are nothing. You are Neiman. You are nothing to me. You are no man to the world. You don't work. You don't help. All you do is sit with your stupid books and your silly ideas. You're not even fit to bear the name of Sholkosh. So go to the factories, Leon Neiman.
The factory was full of bells, timetables, harsh bosses, and dirty air.
I ain't gonna work in this here coal mine no more. I said I ain't gonna work in this here coal mine no more. I'm working on my fingers simple down to the bone. Here at this dark coal face, always alone. Colas in my lungs and colas in our brain. Why, it's all part of the revolution called industrial, they claim.
The working conditions were terrible, with no one in authority to regulate the factory owners or the rigorous demands they imposed on us. Most workers were in the factory 6 or 7 days a week, working 13 to 15 hours a day. I saw women who cried because the harsh smoke had made them infertile, and children who grew up with deformities from the chemicals that also burdened their work-weary skin. I knew that I was lucky to go to work so late in my life. I saw children as young as 5 or 6 hunched over machines that only their tiny fingers could operate. Even though I went to the factory when I was 12, I still had a lot of growing up to do. By the time I was 22, I realized what everyone around me had seen so much earlier. To the government and anyone in power, all the poor were Neiman. No one cared, and so we became no one. Neiman.
No more. I've been working on my fingers simple down to the bone. Here at this dark coal face, man. Always alone.
After I was fired from the factory for breaking down, I was determined to right the wrongs in the world. I had been kicked out of my family's home for rejecting their Roman Catholicism, and I became intensely interested in the anarchy movement. As I read, I learned. Hello, Emma Goldman? Yes. My name is Newman.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Newman.
It's Goldman. bourgeoisie is unfit to rule because it is incompetent to assure an existence to its slave within his slavery, because it cannot help letting him sink into such a state that it has to feed him instead of being fed by it. Society can no longer live under this bourgeoisie. In other words, its existence is no longer compatible with society. In your existing society, private property is already done away with for 9/10 of the population. Its existence for the few is solely due to its non-existence in the hands of those 9/10. You reproach us, therefore, with intending to do away with a form of property, the necessary condition for whose existence is the non-existence of any property for the immense majority of society. The most dangerous man to any government is the man who is able to think things out for himself without regard to the prevailing superstitions and taboos. Almost inevitably, he comes to the conclusion that the government he lives under is dishonest, insane, and intolerable, and so, if he is romantic, he tries to change it. And even if he is not romantic personally, he is apt to spread discontent among those who are. You reproach us, therefore, with intending to do away with a form of property, the necessary condition for whose existence is the non-existence of any property.
You should leave now, Mr. Bergman. I have never met someone who takes our belief so overtly and completely about our cause. We believe, but we do not shout our determination from every rooftop. We have to believe that you are nothing more than a spy. Only someone with a friend of the law would care so little about security.
The attention of the comrades is called to another spy. His demeanor is of the usual sort, pretending to be greatly interested in the cause, asking for names or soliciting aid for acts of contemplated violence. If the same individual makes his appearance elsewhere, the comrades are warned in advance and can act accordingly. King Umberto of Italy assassinated. The assassin was a communist, having published an anarchist newspaper for many years. He was quite famous and celebrated among that anarchy movement. William McKinley.
The McKinley First Night. Music, crowded thoroughfares, a
A
blaze of rockets,
His
and red
demeanor
remanded
was
to await the action of the grand jury on the charges. Had not an
44
remanded to await the
officers
action of the
one
grand
dozen
jury
patrolling
on the
on
charges.
dead,
And
several
the
others beyond recovery. The results of the police raid
had not
abundant
an
evidence secures and bloody
remanded to await the action of the grand jury on the charge of murder.
It would be interesting to see what a child like Leon Czolgosz would grow up to be if he were born today. While the assassination of William McKinley was rooted in insanity, that insanity was rooted in his childhood and the conditions in which he was raised. Before Theodore Roosevelt's presidency, big business dominated both politics and people's lives. McKinley and the presidents before him largely ignored the human rights and justices that were rampant at the time, and immigrants were left powerless. McKinley's death was the only apparent way for a reformative man such as Theodore Roosevelt to become president. Roosevelt was famous for being the first of the trustbusters, who loosened business empire's hold on the common people. Czolgosz forced a change in a system that had grown too powerful and manipulative, and in doing so, changed the world for the children to come.
This was a triumph. I'm making a note here, huge success. It's hard to overstate my satisfaction. Aperture science. We do what we must because we can. For the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead. But there's no sense crying over
For
every
the good peeps thought he's making his face.
and the science gets done, and you make a neat gun for the people who are still alive.
What the